Hello, friend.
Hi.
I deeply apologize.
No worries.
No,
You,
We had
no, I'm the one. I
Gift
feel
card
like,
fraud issues.
you did not.
So we are so close to.
Oh, you are screen sharing. Perfect.
Okay, good.
You're all set. Yes.
Jackie, you're a rock star.
Oh, I am not a rock star.
You are a rock star.
All right. Yes, you are a rock star.
Okay, Heidi, I'm gonna go, we're doing listing forms. And this is for kind of a new agent. I don't know if you've done listings.
No.
Okay, good, because I keep it really, really simple. There's a lot of forms to go through, a lot of technical contract stuff, and I like to just simplify it, dumb it down. I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I still have questions over contracts. I just want to review them. Most importantly, just show you a checklist that you need. And we're going to assume you have a listing. This is the assumption of this class is you have a listing. You've already done your listing presentation, your comp, your pricing with the client. They said, we're going to use you, right? So now we're going to the home, and you can do this online too, obviously through DocuSign, but with listing contracts, I like to sit at the kitchen table. It's up to you and your style as you get more.
What about for buying contracts?
I usually do a buyer's consult before we look at houses, where I bring them in the office and I go through that buyer stuff. So I'm going to jump in to, because all of you, if you remember, all of your listing paperwork and forms are in Instanet in the MLS. You create that transaction. I'm going to use this top one, Hidden Valley Lane in Stillwater, because I'm going to be listing this within the next month. We have to buy a house first, but I just thought it just made, pardon me?
Use something real.
Yeah, use something real. So 25, this is a transaction that I'm working on. So I pulled this from MLS. I've created a transaction, and now I need all the appropriate forms to fill out prior to going to visit that client. So what I use, the most important thing is what we call a transaction checklist. Fatima, you have a copy? See right here? This is your Bible. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jackie Garofalo. We had technical difficulties, so I'm running a bit behind.
That's perfect.
You always call me with questions.
I'm Dawn.
Glad you're here. So the assumption is that we're just, we got a listing, and now we got to go fill out some paperwork in the office and bring it out to our clients and sit at the kitchen table. Okay?
To do that. Okay.
Yeah, you get your coffee. And if I
So
So,
the numbers on the sheet is just what we should be doing first and second.
so these are all the forms you need to enter your listing into Command and MLS. So these are all the forms. So what I do is I print this out, okay? I have one on my refrigerator, one in my car, and one in my briefcase at all times, because as many transactions as I do, sometimes you forget, right? So these are all, and Dawn,
Yes, ma'am.
or, oh, I'm sorry, Heidi.
Yes,
I did number for those in the office. I numbered how I do them, right? I numbered in order. You can do these in whatever order you want, but just for my own mental clarity. So these forms will actually be jumping into MLS and going through them, by the way. This is a listing contract. So on here, you'll see the listing contract, right? So when I prepare for my listing meeting with my client, I look at this checklist. I see where this property is, if there are wells, if there are septic, if it is an old property that was built prior to 1978. So I do all of that due diligence prior to meeting with that client, right? I go into the old MLS or I go into property records, whatever is easily accessible. If you jump down here, if those properties are in St. Paul, Maplewood, Hopkins, all these down here, we need that client to do a truth in housing and or whatever each community. Sometimes they call them time of sale inspections, Bloomington, South St. Paul, point of sale, they call them. Those are just high level inspections that those sellers have to do prior to going live. Well, sometimes you might not get it done till after you go live, but prior to your sale, they need to be able to view that. Truth in Housing, for the most part, in St. Paul, Maplewood, okay? The example I'm gonna use today is in Stillwater. So we do not have a well, we don't have a septic. We are built before 1978, so I need my lead base. Trying to think what else. Well, septic, lead base, no Truth in Housing in the city of Stillwater, okay? So I'll just high level go through what I do prior to meeting with that client. I print off my agency relationships, because when I'm sitting down with a client, I always go through agency first. 99.9% of my contracts are exclusive right to sell. That's what you'll be doing. I talk about that. I talk about old car, right? Remember old car from class, super, super important. We're mandated by the state to do this with our clients. I take it really serious. I go through dual agency as well with them, because we might have another Keller Williams agent buy it, right? Which means we're dual. Or what if I find a buyer? What does that mean? What does that look like in terms of representing the seller and the buyer? So agency, super, super important. So I print that off first, always kind of review it to make sure I can speak to it. My next thing I fill out is the listing contract. And again, I'm going to jump into this in MLS and talk through them with you. I do then, and you can do it in any order. I go through the KW disclosures and waivers, because you need to do that. And it really helps with the ease of the transaction and communication if you go through these disclosures.
So
And
what are?
we'll go through them, okay? And you'll see them in the MLS. You can pull that form. It's a form, and we just talk about open houses will be conducted. Is it okay to do these things? We're your broker. There is a $5.99 broker fee. We'll get to that. It's just, there's so many forms in legal language that this is just my roadmap to it, right? Then I go to, we'll talk about certificate to withhold coming soon. I do these with every single one of my listing contracts, because you don't know when you'll go live, and you want to sign that contract. You don't know when you're going to go live. You don't want anybody else to take it from you. So we do a withhold, we got that deal. We can shelve it for as long as that client wants. Super important. Coming soons, I have not done a coming soon in the last 2 years, right? 21 days before it goes live, we could put a picture up, let every other agent know that it's coming soon, right? Super important. Years ago, people didn't do it. Showing sheet, that's pretty simple. That's just you and your client talk about how they want to be notified for an approval or confirmation of a showing. So it's a form we have, their email, their text, they can yes or no it. I'm always copied on them. You just talk about how to show. Wire fraud is already in the listing contract, so I don't worry about that. I do talk about home warranty with my sellers. Do you want to provide it? Is this house pristine? Does it need some work? Does it make sense for that seller to provide a home warranty? Talk about it. Obviously, lead-based paint. Seller's property disclosure is something that I bring out when I get all my listing paperwork signed, but personally me, I come back the next day or a day or two after that listing paperwork, sit down and go through that, and so sorry. I go through that seller's disclosure line by line with the client. I've never been sued. My clients haven't been sued. I take it really serious, and I have them fill it out. We are not to fill out those disclosures. They do, but I sit at the table and we talk about what's gone on in this property that they can remember, so we disclose. When you see a property seller's disclosure that doesn't have anything on it, that doesn't make, no, you haven't lived here for 20 years and not improved, not fixed, not whatever, so I over disclose unless it's wear and tear. Like wear and tear is normal. But if you did have a water leak 2 years ago and you put in gutters, we're going to let that buyer know. And they want to know that stuff. That is normal. And then you protect your seller and yourself from being sued. So to do that seller's disclosure with everything else is way too overwhelming for me. At the same time, I do the listing input form with the client, and we'll go through it, but that is where you have all your measurements, all your building data, right? I verify measurements or take measurements on that day too. So I'm doing measurements, I'm verifying my listing input form, and then I'm also, then I'm going through that seller's disclosure. So it's kind of, and then I just feel like I'm totally focused because there's so much paperwork to do it all in one day. People do it all in one day. I'm just not that good. Okay, so let's start with the listing contract. And we only have like 5 minutes per form. And I'm not real fast with the mouse. So here's our listing contract. Yay. Now, because I purchased this house for my buyers a year ago. So funny, you guys, I'll be really quick. I bought this house about a year ago for my buyers, and I told them, this house is too small for you. They were downsizing from a lake home without buildings. They had to have this house. We paid so much for it in a crazy market. And I told them, you must stay for 4 to 6 years, right? We're buying at the peak. No, they called me 2 weeks ago. Too small. So anyhow, this is our listing contract. Can't see. Sorry, I'm gonna have to move we are an exclusive right to sell, right? Here, I would fill out the date, number 1, that I'm going to meet with them. This is the address, county, blah, 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 right? We're the broker. I put my seller's name in. I haven't filled all this out because I just started it. This contract date, I always leave this blank because we have no idea. I have no idea when they're going live, right? We have that withhold that we talked about, filled out at the same time, a different form that now you got this deal. But I don't know what date we're gonna go live. We still have to find a house, right? So I'm gonna leave that empty.
So that's automatically saved.
You file. See file, sorry.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not great with the mouse. So I can't continue to save. I started this, but I haven't filled it all in yet. I don't know. I'm sitting, next week I'll be sitting with my clients to talk about the price. I haven't filled it out before I went and met with them because unless I've already told you, you've already discussed it prior to the meeting. Typically I leave it open and then we have a discussion around it. And this one is going to be quite the discussion because they're going to be losing a bit of money on that home. But okay, so, and I do talk through, like I always review my contract and then I talk through the listing. And then here I talk about expectations of the seller and me, right? You're gonna make sure you approve showings. You'll keep your house clean. You'll take your dogs away. You know, we have a responsibility. So we talk about all that. I talk about the data feed options. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. This is how everything's displayed on the website. So what you always, and just always save your first listing. And I always go back to it, but always know, and I won't get into everyone. It's yes, because we want it on the internet, right? We want the address and everything on the internet and pictures, blah, blah, blah. Automatic valuations, not a problem. But what we don't want, no, is we don't want consumers to be able to respond negatively to that property or add any comments. So it's always yes, just boo, 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 no, right? Listed for lease, this property will not be listed for lease, and I'm not going to allow them to. Now, I do duplexes quite a bit. Obviously, you know, you got duplexes, but then you got to deal with the tenants on showing time and all that kind of stuff. But most of mine are is not, may not, right? Here we talk more about seller's obligations and broker obligations and what we need, again, to sell. We need access to the property. We need to authorize other brokers and salespeople and inspectors and appraisers to get into that property. I revisit it. We are a team. These are my expectations of you as the seller and as me as the agent in our brokerage, right? I could go on and on about we just don't have the time. Recording of the property, I do talk about this. People record, buyers record the property. The seller needs to understand that I might be doing an open house. I like to do my live Facebook. There's going to be a lot of recordings. Typically, they don't care. We talk about the photos, all that kind of stuff, right? And I don't really have to deal with 107 very often, but I, because I have my, we've got the pictures we'll be taking, they might be reproduced, they'll be shared. The seller does not own the pictures, I do, right? So I'll give them to them and share them, but you just got to kind of talk about that. Compensation, okay, broker compensation. Seller agrees to pay broker. I don't do a flat fee, okay, so I just X that out, right?
You put 0 on there? Or-
I just kind of exit or a 0, right? But we're not doing a flat fee yet. There are some brokerages that do and agents that may do a flat fee. Maybe if I was transferring the property off market, facilitating, I've never done a flat fee. Seller pays the brokerage, right? Which is the selling agent commission and the buying agent commission. So this one is family. Family or referral partners, I do 5.7. Typically I charge 6. I know some agents charge more, some do less, but I'm usually 6, anywhere from a 5.5 to a 6, depending on what that client wants. So we talk about that at this 119 is important to talk with your clients. Like, listen, there's a cost to selling the property. There's an estimate of proceeds that I go through with them as well. And then the brokerage commission 5.7 is pulled out of that to see what they're going to net, and we'll talk about that. And then here I often write in the other, you can cancel with me or fire me at any time for any reason, because I'm here to earn your business. So I'm not writing that on this one because they're not going to fire me. And I've done a lot of hard work for them. But if I'm up against another broker and I'm fighting for the deal, when you put that language in, listen, it's worked for me. And then I'm there to earn their business and exceed their expectations through communication and expectation
So do you
setting.
put that under other?
I do sometimes. And there's another section to put it into wherever you want. Address, line 135. I always put 180, not to exceed 6 months, and this is all negotiable too. If I don't sell it, which I never have, but so I don't have experience with 134, personal experience. I just populate it and talk to them about it. If by chance the contract expired, I always do 1 year. I should have talked about that earlier. Start date, I always do 1 year because this might take a year to sell. Doubt it, but then we don't have to redo all the paperwork. So, or a 6-month contract. I'll do their 6 months to a year, depending on the piece of property. We talk about what if I showed that property, right? I did open houses. I have a list of people. I showed the property. I had buying agents and blah, blah, blah during that time. I technically, and I advertised, technically can go after that seller for that commission, right? So that's technical commission language that I just have not executed on because I've never had a problem with collecting my commission. Compensation disclosure, 147. Broker shall, so KWPR, shall pay I pay 2.7. You see a lot of 2.5s now, but I just don't want to hit my buying agents yet. 2.7 of that gross sale of the final purchase price, 2.7 to a cooperating broker or assisting any kind of buying agent will get 2.7 of my seller's 5.7. Remember? I talk about closing services here. I have a closer I use. Does my seller have one? I always say, sometimes if I know the client well, I populate it. Yes, they will allow me to direct the closing services with a trusted closer that I do a lot of business with. And then your seller's just initial. We talk about closing costs, and I talk about closing costs through my estimate of proceeds form that we'll talk about. To really understand my client's net after they sell this. And I do it in kind of 3 different sales price too, asking price, maybe I'll go a little lower, you know, so they know, and then we can go back. If we have an offer $10,000 less, I can go back and take a look at that. This client is not a foreign person. There's a lot of tax ramifications around a foreign person, so we just ensure that they're not. This client will allow,
Who actually qualifies as a small person?
so if you don't have a a US citizenship and or some sort of visa / green card, because I've had a handful of clients that hadn't gained US citizenship, but they had a certain type of visa, green card, and that's something we work with Untitled, right? So to ensure what the qualifications are, but 99% of my clients have been US citizens. And they'll have to prove that at title, right? Because they're going to ask for a license, they're going to ask for a social security card. They don't have a social security, you know, so, yeah. This one, the seller will allow dual agency rep, right? Some sellers may say, heck no, I don't want you representing both or the brokerage. And this is what I tell them. We have 190 agents, maybe 2 now. We keep getting more. You want 200 other agents in my office to not show that house? I mean, we're the biggest brokerage in the state and in the country. So I've never had any client tell me no. And then this is just previous agency relationships, termination. We talk a little bit about this, fair housing. I talk about fair housing, ensuring that my seller would never discriminate against any buyer. This is why I do not like letters coming to my buyers and pictures and all that kind of stuff. I don't show it to them and I let them know. Each agent gets to do what they want, but I'm real careful around fair housing. People accidentally discriminate. They accidentally steer. They'll accidentally block bus, right? We all know that. So it's like, I'm real careful with my language and just say, listen, we do not discriminate as a brokerage, as an agent, I do not. And this is why I'm not going to show you any letters or pictures until after we made a decision, okay? We talk about the agreement. It's got to be signed by all parties.
What do you think like pictures, show them pictures of like offers or like if somebody offers a.
So in this market, I'm sorry, might throw it off a second. In this market, if I list a home under 300 at Woodbury, I'm going to have 20 offers, maybe 10 now because the market's shifted a bit. Along with those offers will become what I call crybaby letters. They're almost illegal, but they're not illegal. And then with those letters will be pictures of families. Well, if I would show.
Are you kidding? People like openly
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they're really heartfelt.
Yeah.
But you can inadvertently discriminate. And I have had clients, sellers that I was working with that have said things to me that I wasn't comfortable with. So I don't even want to discuss with them. I don't care who's buying this house. The perfect package is going to buy your home. Not the perfect color, not the perfect nationality, the perfect offer will get our home. And then after, if you want to see your pictures, because you're all excited that this brand new family is moving in and they've got kids and a dog and all this stuff, great. But I'm not showing it to them because, and I let them, they do it and it's awful. Well, I shouldn't, I'm in training, I'm being recorded. I'm not comfortable with it. But again, I take all my fair housing real serious and not everybody thinks like we think. Okay, this is in the other where you could put, remember we talked about you can cancel, or if there's any additional contract language that you and your seller have come up with, you put it in that other. So that's pretty simple. Wire fraud, you let your seller know, hey, day of closing, if you get your monies wired to your bank, we're going to ensure that title lets you know. We don't want any dark web people stealing your wire transfers. So I do take that serious as well. Okay, probably, I don't even know how much time I have here. I'll feel terrible. I got half an hour. We're good. Okay, so then Oh, the KW disclosures. Let's make sure. And again, you have that checklist to go through. And these are just the order I go in. Okay, disclosures, waivers, Fatima, you had asked about this. For sellers, right? So your sellers and husband and wife, if you're married, both of them have to initial. We talk about first our, I'm your agent. Keller Williams is your broker. I am engaged in real estate, not legal, not accounting, right? I'm not your appraiser. I'm not your inspector. And then I talk about old car with them a bit and the services, right? And then they both, multiple offer disclosure. Do you want multiple offers? All of my sellers want me to either disclose to the rest of the world we have multiple offers or whatever. I've never had somebody say, no, I don't want multiple offers. I just want one, but I've heard of it. But we talk about multiple offers. Everybody in my world wants them. Commission payout. This is where we talk about our commission, right? The 2.5, 2.7, we're going to be, of the 5.7 in our contract, 2.7 goes out to our buying agent at closing. This is where we talk about an open house. Do you give me consent to do an open house? We talk about open house, what that means, what that looks like, right? How I talk about how to secure, right? Secure your guns, secure your animals, secure. We don't want, we want to secure anything on the property. That's really important. Commission, this is our brokerage fee. We talk about how we hold on to your file and manage it for many, many years. We're responsible for that file, and there's the cost we pass on. Affiliated, this is where I talk about my closer. I work with Partners. Partners is affiliated with Keller Williams, right? So I need to disclose that, let them know I'm not getting kickbacks. They're not getting, we just trust them. They're our partners. We talk about carbon monoxide requirements, video camera awareness, right? There's going to be video cameras, right? Either me or buyers, right? And you have, on the other side, the seller is your right to have active video cameras. You can keep yours going. I recommend that they don't listen in on their rings during a buy, right? Some of my sellers now have all of this technology. So now I have to tell my buyers, don't talk during the showing, because we can't say that we really want it and we're going to write a great offer, or it smells and we might. Be careful what you say. Ask good questions, structural, ask good questions. Don't be talking opinion, negative or positive, because we don't know that if these sellers are not listening. So I don't like when my sellers go, oh yeah, we had a buyer that came in and he, did this or don't. Just stay, wait for the offers to come in. Don't be obsessed with watching what's going on, because Okay, so we did disclosures. Now, quickly, just quickly going to go through a coming soon form. So I won't fill out my contract date yet, but I will have them sign this right when I meet with them, because up to 21 days before we go live, I can put everything in the MLS, right? All the pictures, whatever, and just watch those showings get scheduled. And the day it goes live, boom, boom, hopefully in 3 days, we have 10 offers and all is good. Sometimes you can't do coming soon because it's last minute listing, right? And you can barely breathe to get it listed within 3 days or 4 days. So, but most of my, I would say 99% of mine, I'm doing coming soons, just so I have it in my file, right? We might not use it. Certificate to withhold, fill this out. I won't go through all the detail. Right when you get that signed, because then depending on this client may need to put in new carpet. sign with you in the winter and not be ready to the spring. We don't want any other agent or broker taking this deal from you, right? So we're gonna enter it all in and withhold it from the market, right? And again, that's coming soon. So I have them both signed at the same time. Coming soon, because we may go coming soon, 21 days before we know our live date. We might not. We always want to, always, in addition, withhold, just so you don't lose the deal. That's how I look at it. There's a lot more legal contract in this. And if you're interested in that, feel free to call Mike the broker. But I just know I do it, so I keep the deal, right? Okay, coming soon, listing input. Listing input is what I bring out when I do my seller's disclosure. And I could have probably, oh, we always do a listing contract form to change at the exact same time. I don't know if I have it on. It's on here. When you sign your listing contract coming soon, MLS or withhold from the MLS form, you want to do a listing contract change form, just a signature on it. So if you're starting out at 500, right, and you don't get any offers and no showings, we can go switch that down to 450 without having that seller sign anything. So I always just get a blanket listing contract amendment. It's just simple. I don't even have to review it with you, but that's what you need. Yeah, so right now we're in Instinet, which is our transaction platform to do all of our contract paperwork. If I was writing all this up, right, and saving it, and writing it all up, and I needed to send it to a guy in California because I can't visit with them, then I'm going to hit start signing, and then I can set up for those signatures to be emailed off. But I'm just pretending on this one, I'm going to Stillwater, sitting at a kitchen table and going through all of it. And I highlight things, I highlight my signatures. You know, I spend some time with my listing paperwork file, getting it organized and thoughtful because it can be overwhelming, right? I went through those, went through that. Where's sellers? Looking for the listing input. There we go. So single family listing input form. And again, I do as much as I can on my own before I meet with my client on this. But I don't spend during the listing contract a ton of time on it because it's a lot of detail. They will have to sign. So just so you know, listing contract starts, the end date, owner's signature, my signature, and then this is all of that data. When you go into the MLS and you see a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, the school district, PID, all that, this is where you're responsible for this, right? So it's pretty simple, but black ovals are required. You know, you know it's required, what isn't. A lot of it, if you can't get it from a previous MLS listing, property taxes, I get a lot from there as well. So state, street name, all right, property ID, school district. I'll write in my directions right here, you know, 36 to 5 to, right, to wherever I'm going. That's where I'm responsible for that. So I'll fill that out. You got to pull up your tax, you know, your tax stuff, tax year, how much was it? I don't have any of that filled out yet because I don't know what it was this year. I got to look at it. As much as I can before, yep. And I'll get their signature. I just don't go through all the detail with them until I go through property disclosure, right? My lockbox source, I'm going to be a combo. I don't do Supra. I just do combo. List type. And again, this is all going to be uploaded to the, when it goes coming soon or active, this is really important that you double check your work on this. I've had, oops, I'm not 3-bedroom, I'm 4. Oh, how did that happen? It was just a typo. So I always double check my work. It'll ask about it foreclosure, if it's lender owned. Nope, nope, nope. All this is no, 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 not a rental. It's not at auction. It's not new construction. There's no builder. Internet, remember that yes, 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 no on our listing contract? Here it is again. Yes, yes, no, right? There is no association here. If you're a condo or a townhome, there's extra docs that you need. But then if there's $200 association fee, what does that include? You find that out from your association and your owner, right? But we're not dealing with that. Now, this is where all our measurements, right? So a lot of times I'll pull it from the previous, I'm gonna pull from the previous listing, all my measurements, and I'm gonna verify them. But I know they're right because this was my buy, right? But a lot of times there's not a previous listing, right? No MLS data. You have to manually take all those measurements. And if,
So you can't say like.
yeah, yep, you'll always write, in the MLS, you'll always, at the very end, in agent remarks, I always say agent or buyer agent to verify all measurements, period. Right, I don't get deemed at all that, I just to verify. Land, lot, so then you do have to know what the acres or square footage of your lot is, right? And that'll be in your taxes, lot dimensions, right? So year built, foundation size, we have to take foundation measurements. Fireplaces, garage stalls, I always do garage dimensions, even though it doesn't say I have to. Guess why? I'll get 10 calls on a listing saying, how tall are the garage doors? Will my truck fit in? So even though I don't have to, I do it because I don't want the garage door height, garage door width. I don't want to let them know ahead of time. The style of your house, your stories, your accessibility, is there air conditioning? What's the exterior like? You might know, it might be simple to you, but I always verify with my seller, is it vinyl or is it aluminum? Sometimes I don't know the difference. Sometimes it's a bunch of it. So heating, forced air, and I don't always rely on the previous listing either. They might have changed their heating, right? Basement, is a walkout, is it finished? Is there a sump pump? You know, these are the questions you want to find out about that basement. Is it natural gas, fuel oil, oops. Zoning, typically you'll always see residential. I do have a hobby farm in Hinkley right now. That is an 80-acre house, but it's zoned agriculture, and financing is a little different around that. So you got to know what your zone is. Parking characteristics, this is just sewer. Always verify with your buyer or seller, are you connected to city water or are you septic? And if you're septic, what kind of septic system do you have? And I always, for sewer and well in Minnesota, I'm licensed in Wisconsin as well, it's different there, have them do a septic and well inspection prior to going live. We know what we're dealing with, because if you wait for the buyer, you may find out that that system is non-compliant and your deal's done, you know, it's $20,000, $30,000. You have to escrow for it. I mean, if there's a problem, let's know about it before we go live. Loan, I always put not assumable because we don't do assumable loans anymore, at least I never have. I go through the appliances with my buyer or my seller, I'm sorry. Amenities, you know, it's a lot of detail. Again, this is why I don't do it with all the other stuff. I bring out sellers and this on a separate visit. So I really ask all the right questions, don't overlook anything. I do have a listing manager that will be doing measurements for me at the same time, because I would rather talk to the client in sense of how am I going to sell your house than spending an hour on measurements. And I have somebody that likes measurements. Electric, you figure out if they've got fuses, mostly it's circuit breakers. Sometimes you'll see some fusing in the old neighborhoods. If they know their amps, a lot of times they don't. Do not worry about it. What's their existing financing? Is it conventional FHA? Find out. At that time, I find out what they owe on their mortgage, right? Family room. Okay, so we just go through, right? This is the single family input, data input MLS. So this is all the data you get that drives when you see a house active, I'm sure you search for active houses. This is your listing now. You're the listing agent. You're responsible for all the accuracy around that. Yes, you can put measurements, you know. So this is all stuff I'm just, okay. So now agent remarks. My mouse is being, but this is like a 1968 mouse. Okay, agent remarks. This is where I write buyer's agent to verify all measurements. Please send please send offers to Jackie Garofalo, da da da. Make sure you have I have some requirements I have of my offers. Questions, call me at this, blah, 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 right? Public remarks. This is where we sell. Welcome. You found your home. You got to be careful to not, don't ever exaggerate or lie on these, but you found, welcome, stop your looking. You found your perfect 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-level living on a 1/4 acre in downtown Stillwater, and you sell the heck out of it. And I do a lot of looking at other great writers. There's some really great writers. I don't ever steal language, but I you know, use some of that language to make it sound really good. I look at the previous listings, see how they wrote it up. I never would ever copy that. I make it better, right? And then financial remarks. This is where you can, it's just financial. Seller will accept VA, FHA, conventional, cash. It's your, right?
Some people don't put that, you know.
Well, then you got to call. Will you accept FHA or VA? I always put it, or I keep FHA if I know that it's not going to pass FHA. I'll keep it out. If I know that VA is not going to work, I keep it out. Right? Okay, so then I'll jump quickly to the, we've got a couple minutes left to the seller's disclosure. I said I like second meeting, single family input, and then this property disclosure, which is kind of similar to that input. It goes through some of the similar things. So you date it, you give it to your client, right? Your client is filling it out, but I'm sitting down with them with a copy and talking through this form to ensure that they fill it out to the best of their ability and memory, and they're disclosing. And I let them know, if you do not disclose that there was water damage and the buyer finds out that there was from their neighbor because you had an excavating or landscaping and you put on your gutters because of that, they can sue you. And I don't want to get involved in that, and I never have. So the more you disclose, the better. And it doesn't dilute I mean, it's upgrades too. What work has been performed on the property? New bathroom, new floor, new air conditioner. Yep, we had water damage a few years ago. We fixed it. This is how we fixed it. So general information, you'll ask, what date did you acquire or build? Do you have your abstract? And do you know where that is? Most of the time, they'll say no, they don't know. Okay, fair enough. This is what title takes care of. Is there an existing owner's title policy? Yes or no? Most of the time there is, right? Is the house suitable for year-round use? Are you in possession of the prior seller's disclosure? Now my people will, so I'll put yes on this one, right? Because they just bought it a year ago and I have it. So, yep. Sorry. Okay. Is it a manufactured home? You know, I mean, this is just no. Then we talk about zones and flood zones. Is it no. Usually for me, it's not located in a flood zone. I do some work on the river and I have been, so I'm aware of the flood zoning, but typically I'm not in flood zones. So 68, are there any associations or shared amenities? And you may assume that there's not, but there could be covenants. A lot of neighborhoods have associations that are $60 a year just to take care of the sign and the big boulders out front. And we have to disclose all of that, right? If there's any government requirements, if there's restrictions, are there 75 easements? Really important. I always talk easement. Is there something, do you share a driveway? Is there something that other than a utility easement that could affect the enjoyment of the property with the new buyers. We have to disclose all that. It's our job. General condition, now this is where we just talk about the structures, garage and outbuildings, right? So we talk about, has there been any damage? If so, how did that happen? Did you file a claim? Yep. Did you get paid? Yep. Did you fix the work? And often they'll say no. We have to make sure, and you disclose it. No, I didn't. I took the check. Just got to make sure there's no open claims because that can affect closings. Have the structures been altered, right? Any additions, roof line, any kind of structural footprint, foundation. Has their work been performed? Yep. Plumbing, retaining walls, general finishings, and you just talk through it, right? And try to trigger their memory. Because a lot of times, no, like, oh, you really? Okay. Has there been any damage to floor? Typically, it's normal wear and tear. Do you have any pets? You have to disclose if you had them and how many. And we talk about the basement. We go through all of those. The roof, how old it is. Typically, it's 8 years or older. Maybe it's 8 years or less. And then we talk about all of the roof. Have we had any leakage? And it's okay if they've had some roof issues and some leakage in the house because they always fix it. And that's what our buyers want to see, that it was taken care of. And you can, you look through this, you can see yourself when you're doing your walkthrough. You can see if there's water damage. Where did that come from? Oh, last winter or we had ice dams, right? Everything's ice dams. Well, we're going to put, oh yeah, we had an ice dam and then we fixed it. So if you remember that input form, that MLS input data form that we just went through, this is very similar, right? So we're going to, instead of saying we have an air conditioner and it's central, we're going to put, do we have one? Yes, and it's in working order. Or nope. So we don't have one, NA. Yes, we have one and it's in working order. And I go through this entire thing with my clients, right? Drain tile, electrical, exhaust, right? And they say if it's worked, if they've got pool, tanks, go through all of that. Because if garage door openers aren't working, we need to disclose that, right? Lawn sprinklers, water treatment systems, you name it. Toilet, does your, be surprised if my toilets don't flush. We need to disclose it. And also, more than likely now, your sellers will be having your property inspected, inspection contingency. The more you catch before that inspection, the better. So, right? This is the septic we talk about. If there is a septic, right? Yes or no. And then property tax. Is there any kind of weird property tax treatment going on in this property? Disabled vets, greens. 211, are we FERPA? Are we a foreign person? My seller, are they foreign? No. Methamphetamine, right? Is it a meth house? Typically not. Cemetery Act, are there any human remains? I have never hit yes. And then environmental concerns. The last thing you want to do is mark no to all of these, right? Because most sellers will go, no. I mean, asbestos, no. Disease trees, no. But you know what? Then you have mouse traps all over. So sometimes, I might say, oh, yep, seller had a bee's nest last year, took care of it. Mice 2 years ago, took care of it, right? So the worst thing is say no, and then they're in the house and they go under the sink and they see all your stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, an infestation, what is that? Is that a major, it's enough for you to take care of, right? We all get bees, we all have a mice here and there, but are you having to take care of it, take action on it? Well, then disclose it and let them know. So have you ever been contacted about government authority about environmental contamination? So typically it's no, right? Well, no, I live in 3M world. So I do a lot of business in Lake Elmo and Cottage Grove. Guess what? We've had contaminated water and they've mitigated. And there's some water treatment plants in the basement that the state takes care of. So, I mean, You would think, no, no, no. Well, welcome to Minnesota and 3M, God bless them for being a company that we can all work for. So I'm not saying anything bad about 3M. It's been an issue in our backyard. Are you is there a airport that's going to be built? Is there anything that's going to affect in the future of this property? You know, we have to let them know. Radon, do you have a radon test? Has there been one? You would let them know, right? Like I'll say, yes, there's a radon test done on this listing last year. So I have to put, yep. Okay, and then other,
But yes, you say.
yep, I put the finding and I'll probably upload the report on the MLS. It is just one less thing the buyer's agent has to schedule, right? We don't need a radon test. There was one done, and more than likely in a year, there's no issue with radon. And then here's an area where any other known defects to the property, you know, if there's any other that we didn't cover, this is where we talk about it and I write it down, right? And sometimes even when I have an active listing, I may be adding to that as I find something out after we went live. I'll update it in that others and then put the new one up, right? And then put that we fixed it. Had it last week, we put in a new sink on an active property in Hinckley. So I said, put in new sink and faucet, please see invoice. And I uploaded that invoice as well, right? Isn't real exciting stuff, guys. Water intrusion and mold, we talked about that. Notice regarding you let them know that you know, we can't disclose if we have to let people know how to find out where the pedophiles are, right? Remember those rules? Okay. Disclosures, just duty to disclose, right? Predatory offenses, inspections, additional comments you might put on there. You know, due to the best of your ability and your seller's ability.
Inspections, like, I found, it's like, yeah, they expect that they have this thing, and it basically says they're not really, they're generalists, and if they didn't find something.
So you're talking about your seller that's listing? Are you listing
No.
agent or a buying agent?
But,
So you're buying and then your buyer's got an inspection?
Yep.
And then,
and then it says like, no, and we asked the buyer, and then the inspector was like, yeah, well, like, we basically found that there was some gap. Mitigated it in a different way, which costs money, and then he was like, inspection, and back to the inspector, and he was like, well, I didn't see any of that, so, no.
so the sellers did an inspection, didn't find it. And then you as a buying agent, your people did one and you found bats. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that we hired an inspector,
Yeah.
like we're supposed to, and then he didn't say, he didn't find anything, you know, but then when we moved in.
Oh, you said your personal, I'm sorry, I'm
yeah,
a work
when we
mom.
moved in, it was like, then all of a sudden, my husband was water pressuring and stuff like that, I guess it was disturbing. He wanted to get the,
I think that's.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, he was like, oh, I hear stuff, and then he was just like, let me call Orkin or whatever, something like that. And then Orkin went up there and added it, just like we thought the other inspector did.
So they capture and release? the
Yeah,
bats?
they did put something in there.
To cap,
But anyway, I was saying, like, how come the general inspectors are not
they're not liable because,
liable for that?
well, that's their contract you're signed with them, right? So when you paid for that inspection, then they do a good job at, because anything can happen at any time and they're human, right? Most inspectors will catch most everything. All inspectors won't catch everything. So they have to protect themselves from lawsuits like we do. And when did those bats come? You know, did they come after you bought it? Did he just miss them because he didn't see droppings and was looking? I mean, he may have just missed the bat. And right? So it
It was
stinks.
really quick, though. I mean, like, that's like after the close.
Oh, then you found him right away.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he missed the bats.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that happened.
From the saying just in general, I didn't know that. I thought that they were like,
Liable?
yeah.
No.
or- Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I understand both sides. Like, you think maybe they could give you a discount or make it right, right? A good company will make things whole. To be responsible to fix the bat issue is a whole nother ballgame. And there is a lot of language in those inspection reports protecting them, and I totally understand why. You know, I just had a mice infestation, like hundreds of them in an attic.
And sellers were like, we didn't know, but they were older sellers.
Okay, so my sellers, my $1 million property on the river, my sellers did not know because they'd owned it forever, never went up there. It's a one level living, like never went up. And the buying agents found it. It was bad. I sent my guy out to verify it was bad because it was, the entire place had to be redone, insulated, like 30 grand, right? So my inspector went up there, he's like, yep, you know, but my seller didn't know. And he had had a few mice, but he lived kind of on the river, but in the woods, like 1 or 2 a year, which is absolutely normal. So they were all having a party upstairs. They were all staying up there, you know, living, and he didn't know because he never went up there. It
But
wasn't
does the home
storage.
insurance cover that?
Probably not. It depends on your policy. That's a really good question. We did a price reduction. So does anybody have any questions? It's 12.
Good job.
Oh,
Sticking right to the.
well, I try, and you know how it is. I really didn't understand any of this until I got a deal, right? So once you get a deal, buy side, sell side, because I'll do buyer forms once in a while too, then you just, you know, you understand what you need, how to navigate through that, you get help, right? You have, no, call me 100%. Always call Michelle, me, and anybody in this office, because we all had our first couple deals.
You have your contact info.
Yes, I have my business cards. I'm gonna hang up now. Jackie Garofalo, my cell is, because we've got Heidi, 651-303-2548. My email is J Garofalo, and I'm going to spell that for you. It's GARO, F like Frank, ALO @KW.com. And I love when new agents call and ask for help. I would always text me first because I really try to just stay in my email earlier and then later. You know, I'm usually on the boat, right? I'm in the car. So and then I'll just call you up. What do you have for me in the car? So text me first. Otherwise, emails, I'm good with email, but I like texts. So. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
Well, thanks, Heidi. I hope I didn't bore the heck out of you. I usually like to have cocktails and some fun. It's hard to do forms without cocktails. Or at least we can't drink when we're doing forms. We can drink after forms. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Bye.
you too. Bye.
Yeah, I'll get your business card.
Yep, I just got new ones ordered. Okay, I have
Some of the magnets with the 2023 calendar on it, so that adds value when I'm giving people, my contact information. But then I got them and then it came back, they don't magnetize the thing. And well, companies like